JT Seagreaves is going to be the future of the tight end position.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to the Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings, as always. Really do appreciate you tuning in. And we're talking tight ends, and we're talking the exodus. We're talking what's left in the room, but I want to start here because it's easy as fans when you start seeing players leave a program, right? Guys that have been in the program for a while, people that you've enjoyed watching play, Clay Cundiff especially, but also Eschenbach has been here for several years. You start to be like, man, what's left? What, this is this worrisome? So I want to start with my big takeaway here, which is we're fine. We're fine here. And in fact, I think we have a future star in the pipeline at tight end in JT Seagreaves. I've talked about it since he signed. I thought he was one of the most underrated recruits in his class, the redshirt freshman now. He has put on really good weight since he's been in the program, up to 6'6", 245, former basketball guy, really good athlete. I think he's kind of in the 4.6s, big frame, good hands. I think he's a future. Star. What is a star tight end? Is he going to be Greg Olsen and be, no, he's not. He's not that. Is he Travis Beckham? No, he's not that. But I think he could be very much in that talent level of like an Owen Daniels or a Troy Fumagalli, a little different player, not as much of an inline blocker, more of a receiving threat. I'm trying to think of a great Badger comp I'd have for JT. But my big takeaway is I think the pipeline, the younger pipeline at tight end is pretty stocked. And Seagreaves is a big part of it. I think he's going to be, I think he's going to play this year. And I think in the next couple of years, you're really going to see him potentially become one of the better tight ends in the Big Ten because he just has unique physical skills. And he's a guy, if you remember, he came to camp and he blew the coaches out of the water. Like they didn't need to see anything else. They were in on several different tight end recruits at that time. JT came to camp and that was it. Case closed. So I think he's going to be really good. Let's talk about what else we still have in this room now that we've lost a couple bodies. You still have Hayden Rucci. Hayden Rucci's a senior, 6'4", 250, older brother to Nolan Rucci out of Pennsylvania. And Hayden, what you need to know here is solid lunch pail, really, really physical blocker. He's actually slimmed down a little this year, which I'm interested in because he can catch the ball. He just doesn't have the elite measurables or the elite size, right? But he can catch the ball. We've seen that. I caught a touchdown pass in a bowl game last year, has 6 career receptions, so not a lot there, but we also never really threw the ball to him. He was a blocking guy, so he brings that physical element. I think he's going to play this year. A lot of reps, certainly short yardage, goal line reps, but I think he can catch a little better as well. So you have Hayden Rucci as a solid option. Cam Large is there. Certainly have never seen a lot from him. Injuries have hampered him. Cole Dakovich injuries have hampered him. Riley Nowakowski, the former walk-on. This one's interesting, right? 6'1", 240-ish. So not the frame you normally look at for a tight end, certainly. The shortest in this room, easily. But he's really impressed the coaching staff. He's really impressed Phil Longo. One practice in, he's sharing first-team reps. So this is what Phil Longo said about Riley Nowakowski, former walk-on. He's the most consistent guy in that room right now, Longo stated. He probably wouldn't blow off the chart if he was testing with a 40 time, height, weight. But as far as being the total package guy, he is. He did a great job running routes, did a great job catching the football. He's physical, gives great effort in the box, sound fundamentally. He's just overall a really good total package guy. That's high praise. Listen, going off that, considering we're already in fall camp and Nowakowski's earning first-team reps, awesome. Heck yeah, go. That's amazing. Like I love the walk-ons in this program, right? And if Nowakowski has carved out those reps, awesome. I can't wait to see him. Again, Longo hits it on the head on the nail there. Even in complimenting him, he mentions, without really saying it, the physical skills, the total package isn't fully there. He's shorter, not the fastest guy, but it sounds like a solid all-around tight end. That's going to give the Badgers some depth this year. Jack Pugh is a guy to really watch. He was a big-time recruiting win. He's a sophomore at this point, but he's a 4-star tight end. Big offer list. He's 6'5", 257, can catch the ball, can move really well. I'd like to see what his upside looks like in this offense if it can click. But right now it sounds like it's Nowakowski and Rucci in the first team roles. And again, like maybe that's not that big of a deal with this new tight end group and this new offense and Phil Longo. I don't know if you need as much there. Now, certainly, if you were to ask Phil Longo, he would like great tight ends, great receivers, great running backs. I mean, but with all the weapons that that Coach Longo is going to be able to put out with receivers, I think he just can get by with solid at tight end this year, and that's what I think they're going to get with Rucci and Nowakowski. I think that's just solid. I don't think either of those are ceiling raisers, but I think both can be solid players. And then I think with Seagreaves and Pugh, you have upside. It might not fully click this year. I can't wait to see JT Seagreaves. I just think there's a massive amount of upside tucked away in that 6'6" former basketball athlete's frame. You also have Tucker Ashcraft coming in. Tucker, I was really high on him. He's a late tight end addition to last year's recruiting cycles. He's a true freshman, but he's coming onto campus. He's stepping foot on campus, 6'5", 245. I mean, that's Hayden Rucci almost. That's a bigger frame than Hayden Rucci. He's a really, really physically well built true freshman. So it wouldn't shock me if maybe special teams, maybe at the end of some games, if Wisconsin's comfortably ahead, it would not shock me to see Tucker Ashcraft crack the rotation, get some reps, get his feet wet. And then next year and the year after, I think you're going to see him as well. That's another recruit that I really like. I don't think he has quite the upside that Seagreaves has, but a physical point of attack blocker, can catch the ball, runs pretty well as well. So, yeah, I like Tucker Ashcraft quite a bit. And then in the 24 class, you have Grant Stec, who is one of the best tight end recruits in the country. So between Seagreaves, Pugh, Tucker Ashcraft, which is a great tight end name, by the way, Tucker, and then Grant Stec coming in, the future at tight end is pretty stocked. It's not a really deep position right now. And the upperclassmen are more solid players, not great players. So if we're going a grade for this season, I'm going to say C+. It's just, you have 6 total catches in the tight end room right now, right? You're going to be relying on Riley Nowakowski, who, like I said, listen, I think he's going to be a solid player. Phil Longo seems to think he's going to be a really solid player. That is probably not a ceiling raiser, right? So I'm going to say C+ for the tight end room this year, because I do think there's some young talent there. I think there's some upside there. And I think Hayden Rucci is actually undervalued. I think he can catch the ball better, people realize. But future, I'm going B+. I love the futures of Seagreaves, of Ashcraft, of Stec. I really like what they have at that position. So I'm going future grade of B+, current grade of C+. All right, we're going to take a quick break for our friends of the show. We're going to come back, talk some superlatives. How many players do I think are going to get significant playing time at tight end this year? And who's the future star of this class? Is it Seagreaves? Is it Stec? Who do I think has a higher upside between those two? We're going to talk about that and more coming up on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick word for our friends of the show over at LinkedIn. And again, we talk about all the time. These days, every potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your business. You got to get them right. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's something my company uses. It's something I use. You expand your professional network. It is an incredible professional tool. I would be lost without it. My company would be lost without it. There's simple tools, screening questions that help you really find the right candidates with the right skills and the right experiences, so you can quickly prioritize those candidates and not pay attention to the ones that have no business interviewing for your job. And it's why small businesses continue to rank LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, I want to let's keep talking tight ends here. I want us to what is the biggest storyline for me this year with the tight end group? To me, it's the development of the young talent. It's, do we see Pugh? Do we see Seagreaves? Do we see Tucker? What does the future look like for this position? And what does it look like in Phil Longo's iteration of his offense in Madison? I think that's the big storyline. I think we're going to see Seagreaves. I think we're going to see Pugh. I think we're going to see Nowakowski. I think we're going to see Rucci, all in different roles. But I really am focused and fascinated by what the young players look like, what we can see about really what they could be in this offense. And that's what I'm excited about. We're going to do one over-under here. And it's hard to do an over-under on receptions almost, because we just have no clue here. But I wanted to do an over-under. How many players in the tight end room receive significant playing time this year? And significant could be a bit of a gray area, but I'm going to define it as consistent playing time in games that are close, whether that's just in a package, whether they're part of a goal line package or a third down package or whatever it is. But players that are consistently playing in close games. I'm going to say the over-under I'm setting at 2.5, and I'm going to take the over. I think you're going to have 3 tight ends that play somewhat of a consistent role this year. I think it's going to be Rucci, who you're going to see in a lot of base formations. You're going to see him in short yardage situations because of his blocking and toughness. I think Nowakowski, you can't ignore what Longo said. And I think Seagreaves or Pugh is fighting it out to get that third kind of spot, maybe another receiving weapon out there. So I think 3 tight ends, there's room for them to consistently rotate. I don't think you're going to get any more than that. Which tight end recruit broke my heart? This one is Kyle Peniston. If y'all remember Kyle Peniston, 4-star tight end out of California, I think the number 4 tight end in the country in that recruiting cycle, offers from Oklahoma, Florida State, Miami. He was the second highest rated recruit in that recruiting class. That was the Gary Anderson era, and he just did nothing. Like Peniston came to campus, and it turns out he wasn't a really physical inline blocker, but he wasn't as explosive as we thought he would be either. Ended up transferring to Rutgers, and I don't really even know what happened after that, but that was one of the biggest recruiting gets out of state for Wisconsin, really. I mean, he's a top 150 player in the country, and just never did anything. Most underrated tight end, Xander Newville, right? So I wanted to put this up there for a couple reasons. The biggest reason is I actually really always liked Xander Newville, and like how much the coaching staff, when he was healthy, wanted him out there just to block, right? If you remember, like he could block like an offensive lineman. He was like 265, wasn't that fast, didn't have a lot of receptions, but he was a really valued part from a coaching staff standpoint of the offenses we had under Paul Chryst when he was playing. But the other reason I just kind of want to mention it is, like, there's not going to be any more Xander Newvilles at Wisconsin, right? That we talked about the end of the fullback, but it's also the end of tight ends who can just primarily be blocking guys. I think that's gone too. I think you look at the tight ends that they've brought in, Tucker Ashcraft can do both. He's a blocker and a receiver. Grant Stec can do both. Xander Newville, I don't think that cast of player is going to get playing time under Phil Longo anymore and under this current administration. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of call back to him, a guy who had a lot of injury problems, but really tough, great inline blocker. But yeah, I think it's probably the end of the Xanders at Wisconsin. And that's going to wrap up our tight end preview. Justin and I already talked tight ends, so I didn't want to get into it a ton. Obviously, Eschenbach gone, Clay Cundiff gone, but I really like the young talent in this position. I think there's a couple potential young stars on the horizon. But this year, it's going to be more about consistent, solid, than it is going to be about ceiling raisers and athleticism. I think the next couple of years, that equation could change a little bit. Anyway, on Wisconsin, we're going to keep these coming. Let's go.